first time here, then a big welcome to you. A big shout out to everyone liking, commenting, subscribing over on YouTube. Big shout out, huge, massive shout out, and thank you to these awesome folks supporting over on Patreon. The support over on Patreon helps me keep making this kind of stuff, keep sharing this kind of stuff. So massive thank you to everyone over there. Patreon members, of course, will be able to download this set at the end of today. And a huge thank you to everyone tagging me when you're posting stuff. I really enjoy hearing, seeing, sharing, getting inspired by the way that you guys are all applying these ideas or exploring the ideas from my tutorials in your own making. So please continue to do that. If you want to tag me on Instagram, nicholas.thayer is my handle over there. So, right, let's get stuck into it. What are we looking at today? Well, I find that my favorite pieces of music from other people always contain unique sounds. It is strange, new, and different ways of doing things, and I hear these sounds that have so much character and uniqueness. And we're never going to get character and uniqueness by using the same presets as everybody else. So today I wanted to explore a different way of making bass sounds. So we're going to explore how to make bass sounds using Wavetable and importing our own wavetables in there. And in particular, we're going to import some breaks and use the breaks to be wavetables. So I've just got this sort of stock Ableton kit happening over here. That's not really doing anything. I'm going to press stop on that. And it's this sound that we're going to look at today. And we can add another layer. I added another layer with a vocal on here as well, which is also super cool. And we can change the rhythm we can make this faster and get some slightly different variations. So we're going to look at how to make that today. I'm going to press stop. I've got a couple of things prepared. If you want to prepare some stuff, I've got just 2 drum breaks. One sounds like that. The other one sounds like that. And I've got this vocals. I've got that vocal sample as well. You heard that happening there. The important thing is that the drum breaks are both the same length. That's the main thing. They're both 2 bars long. You don't have to do that. You can use any breaks you like. You can use anything you like to do this. I just want to explore this technique. You guys are adults. You can make your own decisions. So I said we're going to explore that using Wavetable. So we're going to go to Instruments and we're going to bring in a Wavetable in here. Now, the cool thing about Wavetable is we could just drag any audio file onto here and create our own Wavetable from that audio file. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to take this drum break 1, come back over here. I'm going to click and drag and drop that in here. And we can see we've generated a wavetable from that. Let's put a note in. I'm going to make this note quite low because we're making some kind of bass sound. So let's put in something like that. And let's make that go for, let's do something like that. And let's press go. And that sounds just like a normal sound. I'm going to do some stuff on the envelope here. I'm going to make it 0 release and put the sustain all the way up. So what we're going to explore here is moving through this wavetable using this, because as we move through the wavetable, it's effectively kind of playing our break. So if we find a way to move through this wavetable in time, locked in with the grid, we're going to get some rhythmic stuff that's locked in with the grid. We're going to do that using a Shaper MIDI. So I'm going to come in here, bring in the Shaper MIDI device. Now the Shaper MIDI, it triggers whatever shape this is each time it receives a new MIDI note. It functions a bit like the envelope MIDI, except you can just be a bit more complex or a bit more precise with what you're doing. So I effectively just want a ramp up that's going to go like this and ramp slowly through this wavetable. So I'm going to just make a ramp that goes like that. I'm going to set this to be unipolar, and I'm going to click map, and I'm going to map that onto here. And we can hear that sort of quickly scrolling through that break. I'm going to slow this down so it happens about like that. Yeah. And we can hear that rhythm coming out now, which is super nice. We could make that slower. Or we could make that happen faster. Maybe it's nice if it's... I'm going to leave it at this for now. Super nice. Cool. Okay. We've got to start. We've got to start. I'm going to do a little bit of sound design on this. So now we're at an interesting point where we can use this wavetable and the rhythm of it to do all the sorts of other stuff that we usually do with other wavetables inside of Wavetable. So I'm gonna go for modern. I'm gonna add some warps. I don't know, like 41%. Ooh, yep, that's super nice. Let's add a bit of fold to that as well. Yeah. What happens if we put this down an octave? Yeah, that's maybe quite nice there. Okay, cool. I'm just going to leave that there for now. Now I'm going to come to oscillator 2, and this is where our second break comes in, because I'm going to drag this second break into oscillator 2. I'm going to do the same thing with this Shaper MIDI. I'm going to open up these little notes here so I can map it to more things. Again, I'm going to select unipolar, and I'm going to map that to the wavetable of oscillator 2. I'm going to turn oscillator 2 on, and let's turn oscillator 1 off so we can hear that. Ooh, that's also doing some super nice stuff. What happens if we put this one down an octave? Yeah, that's actually really nice. Oh, that's super cool. Right, let's use some different stuff here. Let's use a classic. Let's give it a bit of pulse width. Maybe let's go negative and let's give it some... Yeah, this is giving us some cool stuff happening here. Yeah, some really nice artifacts and stuff. We're getting that tiny little click at the end. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to make this a tiny bit shorter. There we go. Super nice. Let's add some sub. Yeah. Nice. Okay, cool. Let's do some more stuff. Let's make this first filter a notch filter. So let's go something like that. Yeah, we can do. Okay, let's add another envelope to that. So let's use envelope 2. Let's just make envelope 2 go something like that. And let's connect that in the matrix. Envelope 2, filter frequency 1. Yeah. Cool. Maybe start a bit lower. Yeah. Okay, cool. Let's make filter 2 a low pass filter. And let's also add some of that envelope to that low pass. Yeah, cool. Let's make this, and let's make this 12 as well. Let's change these modes as well. Let's give it some drive and stuff. Let's change this to something like the MS2. Give it some drive. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Let's bring oscillator 1 back in. So the fact that those two breaks are slightly different are also giving these really interesting interactingness on the way the rhythms are working through that wavetable. Okay, cool. Let's maybe do something with the fold here and this LFO. So let's click on the fold. Let's come back to the matrix. Let's add some LFO1 fold. Something maybe about like that. Yeah, let's also add that to... let's add that to the pulse width on oscillator 2 as well. So let's come to the pulse width here. And let's add some of this. Oh, yeah. That's giving us some weird stuff. Cool. Maybe let's go back up. No, I like that back down. This is maybe happening too much. Yeah, I just want a little bit of that. Yeah, this is super nice. Super cool. Right, let's do some post-processing on this. Let's add an OTT. So let's bring in, where's it gone? Where's it gone? Multiband dynamics. Oh, it's in audio effects. It's in audio effects, everyone. Multiband dynamics, OTT, drag that in here. Let's bring this amount down to about 50% and the output up. Yep. Let's bring this output on this top down a little bit. Cool. That's an EQ in here. Super nice. Let's give it some nice, something a bit like this. Yeah, take out some of that low mid. I think I want to take out just some of this high mid stuff as well. Yeah, that's a bit nicer. Yeah, cool. Let's add a bit of unison here. Let's go noise. Yeah. Yeah, this is nice. Ah, this is super cool. Cool. Let's add a raw. Let's add a raw audio effects. Raw. Let's give it a bit of drive. Yeah, this is giving it. Let's really bring out the mids. So I just want to listen to the mids here. And I want to get this kind of really crunchy. Let's add some compression when it gets too loud. Let's go something like the tube preamp. Yeah, so it's just breaking up there. Cool, let's bring the others back in. And let's bring in some noise on the high end, some noise injection. Yeah, this is super cool. Super nice. How's this sound if we slow this rate down? Oh, this is also really nice. So you can see, like, as we move through the rate here, we're getting these really interesting ways that this is playing around with the beat. Let's bring the beat back in. And let's add a compressor after all of this. Let's sidechain that against the beat. So let's bring in a compressor. Open up the sidechains here, external. We want to take it from number 4, opulent kit. It's just an Ableton stock kit. There we go. Yeah. Super nice. So how would we add the voice sample to this? So I'm going to come into this wavetable. I'm going to group that, Command G. I'm just going to duplicate it. Come in here to this second one. And we can hear that's not moving through the wavetable. So I'm going to turn oscillator 2 off. Oscillator 1 is going to come on. Just going to drag this sample in here. And I'm going to use this same envelope. Let's move this across a little bit. Let's bring the warp down and the fold off. There we go. This is cool. Let's bring this back in. Let's use a different type of noise, different type of unison here. Let's add a classic maybe. Yeah. Yeah. And on this one, I think I want to get rid of some of the bottom end. So let's bring an EQ in just after that. So where are we going? Oh, yeah, I definitely want to turn the sub off because now we've got two. Yeah, that's better. And an EQ just on this wavetable, exactly there. And let's get rid of all of that bottom end. Yeah. It's a super nice layer on top. Let's change this. Let's do something so it's giving it a bit more rhythm. Let's duplicate it. So now we got something like this. Let's drag this one all the way through. Yeah, cool. Let's turn the fire layer off. Oh, I put this EQ on the wrong wavetable, everyone. I put this EQ on the wrong wavetable. You need to be over here. Why didn't that move? There we go. So now I really like the way that these rhythms are a little bit off the beat. They're going across the beat now because we're starting the MIDI notes here, and each start of this MIDI note is kind of playing through that wavetable. It's also nice to just play with this depth a little bit, because what this depth is going to do, this is going to change how far through the wavetable it goes. So if we bring the depth down to sort of 95%, we're getting some swing because it's moving through the wavetable slower, slightly slower. So as it goes through the sample, it's just a little bit off the beat, and I really like that. So that's one interesting thing you can play with. You could try playing with, random. Just hit random on here, and you're gonna get some super. Let's make this. And you're gonna get some super different results because of the way that this is, of course, scanning through the wavetables. So we can see it like really going crazy here. You can play with the amounts here. I'm going to set this back to my starting point here. Playing with the amounts here, maybe it's nice to make one of them go 100%. And then we're getting kind of two cross rhythms. One is at halftime or one is at full time, because the rhythm, of course, is coming as this plays through the wavetable. What happens if we make this faster now? Yeah. So this is a super interesting technique. I really like this technique, this way of bringing rhythm into bassline simply by using a rhythm, using a break. So that's where I wanted to get to today. Hope you got inspired by this idea of using breaks, or whatever you like, to make your own wavetables, and then using those wavetables in a kind of rhythmic and unique way to get unique sounds. Please tag me in anything you're sharing. I would love to get inspired by what you guys are doing. Super nice to have you here. I'll catch you next time.